Welcome back to Purple and Gold Zone. I'm your host, Montana. We are on episode 5, if you guys can believe that. I'm super excited. Just in general, talking Lakers always gets me hyped up, especially after a huge win over Denver. I love beating Denver. That hits close to home for me. Those are the games I always would go to when I lived in Nebraska because Denver's not too far of a drive. So Denver Nuggets versus the Lakers. It's not really a rivalry, but to me it is because those are my boys. And when they go up against that team that's close enough for me to drive to, it's always a good time. So good win, feeling good, but also feeling great because we are now officially on YouTube, offering a different platform. Definitely still doing Spotify, and I don't want to discourage people from listening on Spotify, but just want to add a visual experience as well and kind of try to grow the show and maybe turn it into something even better than what it would be just on Spotify. So doing all that, it's going to be great. Super excited. I have some fun ideas and some big plans with what I'm going to be doing in regards to being on YouTube now. So there's a lot of things in the works, a lot of things I'm trying to figure out. So to be determined. I'm going to have a lot of more visuals and things prepared throughout break. I've got a break from work, going home, back to the cold state of Nebraska from Hawaii. What am I thinking? Family's great. Family's important. Friends are important. But trading 70s and 80s for 10s and 20s, I don't know. I mean, I've been dressing like this pretty much every single day that I've been out here. So I'm not prepared to throw on a coat, but it'll be fine. It'll be great to see people, and it'll also be great to have a little bit of a break. And in that time, I am going to try to develop more things for this show. But either way, starting out strong, super excited. We've got a great episode. Like I said, Lakers, talking past and present today. I'm super excited. And that being said, let's get right into it with our first topic. Of course, we have to start as we always do. We are starting with a check-in of our boys. Currently sitting 12th in the West, looking at 12 and 16, right below 500, but we're right there. We're touching 500, and I'm telling you guys this, I can guarantee we will be above 500 by All-Star break. I think we will absolutely at least be right at 500, and then we'll boost up above that after the break. But we're getting to 500 before All-Star break. I mean, we're right there, and we're coming off of a huge win against the Nuggets, 126 to 108. Of course, we've got to talk about the negative of that. There were two players that were definitely not positive factors in that game. One of them was Magic Man. If you don't know who Magic Man is, you'll know who he is after I tell you who he is because it'll make perfect sense. Magic Man is Mr. Lonnie Walker. Sometimes you see him, sometimes you don't. And we didn't see him last night. And the good news is LeBron picked up the slack, Schroeder picked up the slack, players that shouldn't have to pick up that extra little bit of work that he offers, that talent that he offers, had to pick it up. Thank the Lord they picked it up. But Lonnie Walker was not part of the solution last night. But that's what he's always been. He's always been. Sometimes he's here, sometimes he's not. When he's here, boy is he here, and when he's not, boy is he not. So he was not here, and it affected the team. But obviously, it didn't in the end, and it doesn't show that in the score. But it affected the team, and then something that affects the team even more. And I'm sure Lakers fans and just fans of this show will know what I'm about to say next. Mr. Glass, Mr. Made Out of Glass, whatever you want to call him, Anthony Davis, one of the best Lakers ever, whatever you want to call him. I wouldn't put him there. Some people, I've seen some lists that are concerning, but whatever you want to call him, Mr. Glassman A. Disney went down with an injury. I believe it was they're saying that he has some discomfort in his foot, but the hope is that it is not severe and he's going to have an MRI to check it out. I'm pretty sure that will at least put him out. And anytime that happens, I'm not feeling too great because that means LeBron is going to have to pick up a bulk of the work. And that has not worked out in the past for the team or for LeBron. So hoping that he can come back soon and that it's really not serious. But he had a pretty good start to his game and looked pretty solid. I'm going to be honest. Anthony Davis, had he not gone down, probably would have had at least, I'm going to say he would have at least had 35 to 45 points because he was looking pretty decent until he went down. So he went down, but luckily LeBron James did what LeBron James can do and put up a 30 piece, carrying us above them. Westbrook put up a performance. Thomas Bryant, again, I've got to say, I dogged on him a little bit when we got him. I still don't think he's that guy, but he's a solid player and he's a solid part of this team, and I think he will help us down the line. So I'm glad we have him, and he helped us last night, because if there's anything that we needed, it was someone to still be down there big man wise, and he showed up. So big game, like I already alluded to, Dennis Schroeder had himself a pretty good game. It was just a really solid overall performance. Austin Reeves is an absolute sharpshooter and assassin. He is everything that everybody thinks he is. He is not having a second year slump. I think he is going to boost his stats even more throughout the season. And it showed. I mean, he had a big game and we won. We won, another W added, and coming after a pretty tough loss to the Celtics, where I'm going to be honest with you, I was like, will we bounce back? It's really tough to bounce back, especially against a rival, and then going back to a conference matchup that you have seen pretty frequently in the last 5 years, even in the playoffs, might I add, in 2020. So, or in 2019-2020 season. So, it is a big statement game, because I think that this shows the Lakers are ready for what's next. I think that this shows that they are ready to arrive and take on that responsibility of beating a team like the Nuggets, even after you have a big loss, because it was a big loss to the Celtics, and it was an unnecessary loss, and it should not have happened. So that was a big confidence shattering game. And last season, that would be that. They'd go on a 5 to 10 game losing streak and they would not recover. Maybe they'd pull a win off against a low tier team, and that would set their record back to a win record. But no, I mean, this team proving that they had that grit and that they had what it took to come back and have a good performance, that right there makes me feel better than any game last year did, or any moment. I mean, this feels like a team that has fight, and we didn't see that last year. So that right there is big. And now we're going to look at the next 6 games, and I'm going to give my best prediction. I have not been completely accurate, but I'm going to try to do my best, and hopefully I come out a little bit better with this prediction. Last episode, when I gave the next 4-game prediction, I went 2-2. Unfortunately, the only reason I didn't go 1-3 is because I predicted a loss to the 76ers, and then that happened. I spoke it into fruition, unfortunately. Now, real time, real game, we definitely should not have lost, but I did have that as a prediction going into it, so I ended up going 2-2. But I've got big goals of getting a way, 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 way better finishing than that, and this would also be great for the Lakers, because this would put them above 500. So I've got them beating the Washington Wizards, the struggling Washington Wizards. I have the Lakers beating them 113-100, which would bring their record to 13-16. And then I have them turning around and beating the Suns in a close overtime 110-118 final score, putting the Lakers at 14-16. And then I've got them handling the Kings. I do have that being a higher scoring game, and the Sacramento Kings are actually starting to look like a really exciting team. And as a Lakers fan, of course, we don't want to lose to the Queens, but I actually think it's great to have more of a competitive matchup and kind of bring another team into that battle for California. Why does it have to be just LA? Why can't it be all of California? That would be pretty cool to see them rise up. That would make that division a lot more exciting. So I have the Lakers coming out on top 120-116 in a higher scoring matchup, and I have that being the final score, bringing the Lakers to 15-16, one off of 500. Do I have them having 500 next game? Of course I do. We've got the Hornets, one of the worst teams in the league currently. They are not the team that I think people thought they would be with Ball and that lineup being the way it is. I definitely thought they would have a little more success, but so far that is not the case. I have the Lakers handling them pretty easily, 115-96, and this would put us at 16-16. And then we've got the big Christmas game against the Mavs. I've got the Lakers beating the Mavs. Yes, MVP Luka Doncic, that is the guy. That's my guy. I have him winning MVP, and I'm sticking with that, but not enough to get it done. If Anthony Davis is healthy, we can absolutely dominate that team, and Luka's not going to have as many options as he might have against other opponents, because we're just going to shut that team down. So I've got his winning on Christmas Day 98-87, and then the sixth game that puts it at 17-16, and then the sixth game against the Magic, another team that is the bottom of the barrel and not a very good team. So I definitely don't have that being a problem. I have us handling business heftily 120-102, and that puts us at 18-16, and you can guarantee that would put us in a play-in spot. So here's what I'm going to say. Is it coming off as wishful thinking? I say that I'm a bit of a pessimistic fan. I don't like to go too much the other way. But the reason I think we can get this done is I think this team has proven that they can make things happen. Of course, there's trade rumors. There's a big one we're going to get into next. But this is not something that is determined just on that. This is just determined on their lineups and their team as a whole. And coming off of a big win against the Nuggets, I think that that is enough of a boost to get them forward. And then absolutely beating the Wizards will be that back-to-back boost. And the Lakers are a team that haven't had a bunch of back-to-back success. They have had some back-to-back success, but not as much as they were having, in the 2019-2020 or even the 2020-2021 season. They're not having the same type of success that they had in back-to-backs, piecing together those wins. But I definitely think that they can string together wins. And I mean, that'd be huge. They would be on a 7-game winning streak, and that would just be a huge boost. And I think the Lakers would definitely be taken to the next level, both how we view them as fans and how opposing fans view them, and just how maybe they view themselves too. So couple of factors that I think will definitely determine whether or not the Lakers hit that 6 for 6 like I'm saying they will. If Anthony Davis is out, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm splitting it 3-3. I'm going to be honest. I don't think we take the Mavs with AD out. I don't think we take the Suns with AD out. And I'm going to be honest. I don't think we take the Kings. So I think we end up going 3-3, still beating the Wizards, still beating the Hornets, still beating the Magic, but falling to that Mavs team and falling to that Kings team and falling to that Suns team for the sole purpose that Anthony Davis is that factor that gets us above these teams. We do not have a player. Even LeBron James, as great as he is not that player to get us past these teams. Anthony Davis is. So if Anthony Davis is out, I have it going 3-3. But if he's in, we're 6. We're going 6 for 6, and I'm sticking with that. So my final prediction for those next 6 games, we're going 6 for 6. And I really hope that I can at least be closer to 100% than I was on my last one. But either way, we'll check back in, of course, after those 6 games wrap up. Probably we'll even have a game before those 6 games wrap up. We'll have another episode in the meantime. So definitely we'll check in on how that record is doing. But in the meantime, let's move right on to our next topic. Talking about an X. A Lakers X. NBA X's. X's in general. So it's usually not a great idea to go back to them. And for the most part, an NBA breakup stays a breakup. Shaq and Kobe, breakup, stayed a breakup. So many breakups have happened. Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, breakup, stayed a breakup. Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, breakup, definitely going to stay a breakup. James Harden went back to Kevin Durant. Went back, and they broke up again. And I just feel so bad. That guy has a lot of exes. And I mean, you'd think that those strip clubs are giving him enough, and he doesn't need all the extra drama. But no, he needs NBA exes, and he needs a lot of them. He might not get an NBA ring, but if there was an award for the most NBA exes, the most stars that you've broken up with, it would be James Harden. Absolutely. 100% James Harden wins. So X's are all over the NBA. We've seen it. Usually you don't get back with them. Usually that's for the best. But an X that had a pretty amicable, let's be real, people, even in real life, a relationship, it's not an amicable split. Usually that's just a load. So this is kind of the same situation. The Lakers wanted to upgrade. Let's just be honest. The Lakers wanted to upgrade. They had a failed run out in the first round versus the Suns. I think they were looking at it like, okay, we were bounced in the first round. What can we do to go from bounced in the first round to championships again, and to make it to that championship game and to be a champion and make it to the finals and all that fun stuff, everything that you work for. Let's get back there. or let's completely miss the playoffs and have one of the worst seasons since before LeBron James got there. That's actually what happened. It was not a dream. I've tried to convince myself that it was. It was not a dream. It was real. So that being said, very rough, but we split. Kyle Kuzma went to Washington, and props to him because he made the best out of that situation. He actually improved, and I think he's really starting to find his role and who he is as a player, not just his role basketball wise, but his role as a person and like who he is on the court leadership wise and locker room wise. And I think there's a lot of things that he has seemed to figure out, and you can see with how effortlessly his game is. His game is effortless. He's playing effortless basketball. It's effortlessly Kyle Kuzma, and you didn't see that in Los Angeles. I think there was a lot of stipulations and pressure, and especially after winning the championship. So I think that there was a lot of things that were holding him back in LA, and that was a great move for him. And it should have been a good move for us had we done things differently. I think that could have been a good move because Kuzma was a movable piece. That was a player that teams were interested in. We just did not make the right decision with who we got and how we did that. But I do think it was better for everybody. But the question is, should the Lakers reunite with Kyle Kuzma? Because there's been buzz, and there's been buzz. I think people don't know this, but me being involved in many different Lakers threads and Instagram pages and blah blah, I could go on and on. I mean, I've lost track of all the Lakers stuff I'm a part of. It's ridiculous. But I've been a part of things, and there were threads, and there was rumor back in the summer of him reuniting. I mean, there's been rumor, and it was not just something where it was like, hey, you know, posting something, a cryptic message. It was an official thing. It wasn't just, hey, miss LA, miss the weather. It wasn't what he did this time about being like, oh, I love the weather, hopping off the plane, blah, blah. No, it wasn't that. It was way less public. And it wasn't something he came out and said, but it was an official report and nothing happened. But I still kind of wondered, will we try to reunite with players such as him or Alex Caruso in the future? And I'm not shocked. I mean, the Lakers are kind of not desperate, but they're desperate to build their team up. So it doesn't surprise me in the slightest. I honestly thought it was going to happen a lot sooner. I thought that we'd see more buzz about it sooner because when I saw that in the summer, I was like, this is happening. This is something that LeBron would sign off on. And even though maybe some of his, complete overlook of the team and of who they get is less than it was when they got Westbrook and got in that situation, it's still there. He's LeBron. So he's definitely still has a pull. And this is a player that LeBron would absolutely want back. So I think that it makes perfect sense on that aspect. Kuzma's also hinting at it and teasing at it. He posted something. Of course, he posted something. Basically flirting with the concept of just being in LA. And now I follow Kuzma on all social media. He has very interesting fashion choices. Definitely not really my scene and my thing, but good for him. I mean, he's got he's got style. He's got style. It's not my style, but he's got style. You can respect other style even if it's not yours. And so I got to say, not my style, but he's always putting on Instagram what he's got on and whatever, accessories, all of the above. I mean, he kind of goes all out. It's kind of something that he's picked up on. So, I follow him on all the social medias, and something that I think not only has influenced his fashion choices, but also maybe his decision to come back is his actual ex in real life. I do not remember her name, but she is a model, I believe. And they were together when he was in LA. I believe she lives there. I know that they live together or were at least always together. You know how it goes. You live together, even if you don't live together, usually, at least when you're in that kind of situation, I assume. So I think, they were living together though, like officially living together. And then they broke up. And I truly think that a part of him considering to go back to LA is her, because last I knew they were back together. Or I don't know. I don't really pay attention to that side of it, even for current Lakers. But it seemed to say something. I saw a post and they were together, and it was a very like romantic post, and it was within the month. So it might have even been on Thanksgiving. So I think that, to be honest with you, maybe he's looking at it as that's a poll, and her being, either living in LA or just wants to live in LA. I feel like that could be part of it, or he's just visiting her. That's the other side. Maybe he's just visiting her, and that plane thing. I mean, yeah, he's playing into it. Of course, he would be dumb not to play into this. This is his moment to flirt with it, even if it's not real, even if it's just, nothing. Yeah, this is his moment to really get out there and get it done. So I don't blame him for using it if he is, but I think that even if he is, this is definitely building up a buzz. And then that leaves the question, should the Lakers get Kuzma back? I think really the only way to determine truly whether he would be a good fit again or not is looking at his stat progression and just how he's looked throughout his career, both as a Laker and as a Wizard. Starting with his rookie season, the Lakers drafted him in 2017, and right off the bat, he wasn't, a player that brought too much buzz. Most of the buzz was obviously focused on Lonzo Ball and then the other stars in that draft class. But Kyle Kuzma actually was one of the top Rookie of the Year candidates consistently throughout the year. He was one of the players that stayed up top pretty much throughout the year and stayed in the conversation. We have one game or one stretch wonders where we get these rookies that come in and put up big numbers, and then we're like, oh, it's them. That's who this is. We know who they are. They're going to turn into stars. They're going to, establish themselves, and then they don't. But Kyle Kuzma absolutely had a great rookie season. 16.1 points per game, 6.3 rebounds per game, and 1.8 assists per game in 31.2 minutes on 45% field goal percentage and 36.6 from three. Really solid numbers. He, of course, did not end up winning Rookie of the Year, but he definitely made his case and was one of the better players and one of the better rookies that season. And then the LeBron era began right after that, and for the most part, people were really excited. I think they thought LeBron was going to take a team of young, talented stars and turn them into a Lakers dynasty. We all know that is not how that worked out, but I think there was an excitement around the fact that LeBron was going to be on the Lakers. Now, the thing about LeBron, anytime he joins a team, or just anytime he is on a team, you need to expect for your stat line to shrink or change, because a lot of the systems are built around LeBron and shaped for LeBron. And that's not me calling LeBron out or dissing LeBron or dissing that way of doing that, because that's just what coaches and teams do with stars. Usually they will build the teams and build the system around the star. Or on the opposite side of the spectrum, they look at what the coach wants and more of the coach side of things. But most systems are ran by the stars, and most systems are created with the stars at the forefront. So that's what happens every time LeBron James is on a team. LeBron likes to get everybody involved, which also means even if you have minutes such as Kuzma did, he played 33.1 minutes in 2018. His minutes went up. And so did his points per game. Now, that rebound dropped a little bit, but the assist was also up. So 2018, yeah, his numbers changed, but they didn't regress. If anything, they just went up, and they were a little bit more consistent. He played 33 minutes. He was on 45.6 field goal percentage. I will say his three-point percentage went down to 30.3, a pretty big, honestly, a pretty steep drop, but he still was definitely not the worst shooter on the team. That was definitely helped by Lonzo, but I will say he looked pretty good. Again, his rebound numbers went slightly down because of LeBron, but he was still one of the main options. And I think LeBron looked to him as a bigger option than Lonzo, and I think that's why Lonzo ended up getting shipped out. I also think that Lonzo actually was the second choice. I think that the Pelicans would have preferred having Kuzma. I think that Kuzma was a piece that after this season was kept a little bit more serious and not an untouchable, but more of a player that they didn't want to move because it seemed like he worked with LeBron's system. Well, cut to 2019. This is the championship season with Anthony Davis. And now here's what I want to say. When you have one star absolutely things change. When you have two, everything changes. Everything changes when you have two stars. And it shows in his stats. In 2019, his minutes went down to 25. His points went all the way down to 12. His field goal percentage was down to 43.6. His three-point was 31.6. His rebounds were 4.5, and his assists were 1.3. And this is when we started to see the decline of Kuzma. And I don't mean the decline in a super negative way, because he was still putting up numbers and had some decent performances. And obviously he helped us win a championship and was on that very well-created and very, depth-heavy staff and depth-heavy team. So honestly, it was really a really good situation, but we started to see, as Lakers fans, we started to see him decrease and decline what he was doing for us. And then in 2020, following that championship, obviously they want to run it back. His minutes go up a little bit. His points per game do not. He stays at 12.8, and his rebounds go slightly up to 6.1, and his assists go slightly up. This is very heavily based on Anthony Davis's injuries. Yes, Kyle Kuzma was not covering his position like that, but with Anthony Davis out, Kuzma was expected to carry more of the load, and I think that the Lakers fans and the NBA kind of wanted Kuzma to be that third option and that third guy, and he just wasn't that third option or that third guy. And the fact that he only put up, 12.8 points per game with Anthony Davis being out a lot of the season and then LeBron also being heavily injured shows that it wasn't just them. It was the fact that he's not that guy to that extent. He's not that star player. He's not that star third option. And that's what it looked like. And that is why, following the 2020-2021 season, he was shipped off to the Wizards, which instantly, I want to say it again, instantly changed his career. 33.4 minutes, 17.1 points, 45% field goal, 34% three-point percentage, 8.5 rebounds, and 3.5 assists. That was his first season with the Wizards. Obviously, the Wizards themselves did not have a successful season, which again, it overshadows the success you do have. So, it kind of overshadowed that, and we don't really look at it as much as I think we should. But, that being said, great season. And then this season, the season that has really gotten the Lakers' attention and I think made them regret ever letting him go. In 35 minutes, 21.4 points per game on 46.2 field goal percentage, 34.3 three-point percentage, 7.5 rebounds a game, and 3.6 assists per game. He is playing incredible basketball. He is not, in my opinion, nor will he ever be a star, but he is playing star role player basketball, and he is proving that he can be a really key piece to a pretty unfortunate team and situation. He can still be that key piece that they need to at least make games close and exciting. So regular season wise, the pattern I want to show is that with that LeBron and AD made team and the way that team was constructed, Kuzma did not have the success that he has playing for a team such as Washington, for the sole fact that Washington doesn't have anybody. Kuzma is not a star player. I want to say that right now. Kyle Kuzma will never be a star player. Ever. He'll never be a star. He's an absolute shooter. And he has talent beyond measure. I don't want to try to dog on him or make it seem like I don't think he's talented. But he's not a star. He is not that third option. The Lakers tried it in 2020, and it didn't work. And that is, at the end of the day, why we moved on, because the biggest thing the Lakers wanted was finding that third option. Not even that third star. Unfortunately, that's the way the Lakers went, and that's how we ended up with Westbrook, looking for that star player, that star value. But just that third option that the Lakers really didn't have. We tried it. Kyle Kuzma could not show up, but he won a championship. He helped the Lakers win a championship. Well, let's look at that. Let's look at his playoff stats and see if he really is that guy. Because some people really do just come alive in the postseason. We see role players that have mid-seasons and then come alive in the postseason. So is that Kuzma? So we're not even going to look at the championship run for the simple fact that Kyle Kuzma did not have any performances that were outstanding. He had some pretty good performances points-wise. He had some decent performances on the rebounding side, specifically on the defensive rebounding side a couple of games. But in the 2020 playoffs, he still did not look like a player that I really thought was consistent enough to get it done and to be that third option, or at least just be a consistent role player. So this is what I want to say about Kuzma is, yeah, he won a championship, but we have to look at the following season where he was really relied on. This is when we really saw the hole and we really saw what was lacking in Kyle Kuzma, was in the Phoenix Suns versus the Los Angeles Lakers 2021 playoff series. It was round one. The Lakers were looking pretty beat up, but we had a nice squad. We had a pretty solid looking squad, honestly. I was pretty confident that we could at least make a run. I didn't have us winning, but I had us making it at least to the Western Conference Finals, and you never know. But I definitely didn't have us winning either way because of health, specifically with AD. But Kyle Kuzma is a player that didn't really step up throughout the season, like I alluded to earlier, didn't really do what I think he was expected to do if LeBron James and AD are out. Kuzma is supposed to be that guy. I think that is what the hope was throughout the whole organization. He didn't show that during the regular season, but again, some players come alive in the playoffs. Well, if this is Kyle Kuzma coming alive, he must be a zombie. Game one, he just ran. He got his cardio in. Just ran. He pulled a nun. I call pulling a nun because that's all Kendrick Nunn does. He's just getting his cardio in every game. So, pulled a nun, and just terrible. Just terrible. Well, he pulled a nun 2.0, and that 2.0 was for the 2 points that he scored in game two. Nothing else. One block, one steal, one assist. Well, I don't even think there's anything worth saying on that stat line. Game 3 kind of picks it up. 8 points, 3 assists, 10 rebounds. Had himself a little bit of a decent game. The game after that, 11 points, 2 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 massive game-changing turnovers. And then look, in the following game, we go to game 5. Honestly, I guess I can call this a little bit of a redemption game on the points side, but very quiet on the rebounds, the assists, the defense. I mean, nothing was there, and another turnover that I would say cost them a big moment. And then finally, this is the game where Anthony Davis is out. LeBron James is posting about how he has wide shoulders and how he can carry this team and blah, 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 blah. Did not think that was a good idea. From the start, I was like, LeBron, no, please. This is not the team to post this about on either side. But he posted it, and the unspoken hope from LeBron James was that Kyle Kuzma would pick up some of the slack, and Kyle Kuzma would be that player that would come in and help LeBron win the game. And if anything, he helped the Suns win the game. 2 points, 2 turnovers, 1 steal, and 4 rebounds. Kyle Kuzma is not the guy. To wrap our Kyle Kuzma segment up, the conclusion. And before we go into the conclusion, I want to show the last little stint of Kuzma's games. He has been putting up great numbers on all sides. He has been trying to really, I think, make that push to the next level as a player, and he is doing a pretty solid job. But this is what I want to say. Do the Lakers pursue him? I hope if you have been watching the whole episode, you can guess my answer on this. But if not, let me spell it out. No. Absolutely not. Big capital no. Here's my thing. Kuzma is in a situation where he is successful. He is on a team that, I'm going to be honest, I cannot name every player on that team. And I don't mean any disrespect by saying that. Probably comes off disrespectful, even if with me trying to clarify that, because that is a disrespectful comment. But it's true. I couldn't name every player on that roster. And I can name more teams' rosters pretty fully than not. So that is something I want to say right away. The Wizards are not a team that is built to be extremely successful. And when you have a player who can put up big stats, even if they're empty and they come up in losses, which is a lot of what these numbers are, a lot of the games that you are seeing, Kuzma did not have, a huge impact in the win column. So it's a lot of empty stats, but teams like the Wizards, that's what keeps them going. Without the empty stats, without those players that'll put up those numbers, even if they don't win games, you don't sell tickets. So it's a win-win for everyone. Him being on Washington is a win-win for everyone involved because he would not fit with the Lakers. Especially not with Russ. If Russ is staying, which I truly think he is, Kuzma would just make this a nightmare, and we would go back instead of forward. Because then you are putting him behind, and he's not your number 3, he's your number 4, but he doesn't want to be a number 4 option. Kuzma wants to be that guy. I do believe he is serious about meeting with the Lakers and has met with the Lakers in some way, shape, or form, or is at least eyeing the situation. But I think at the end of the day, he is going to realize what most fans have already realized, which it's just not a good fit. Looking at these numbers, I want this kid to keep putting these numbers up and getting his career at least statistically moved forward, even if it's not accolade moving forward. But I don't think that we are a good fit, and I don't think he is a good fit. And that is why we split in the first place. That's why relationships end. It's not a good fit, and that's how this relationship should end. So unfortunately, I do not think that Kuzma and the Lakers should get back together. I know some people do. Feel free to reach out to me or put it in the comments. And if you have a different opinion, let's have a little bit of a chat about this, because I want to know your guys' opinion on the things we talk about on this show, especially something like this. But we are moving on into our final topic of the night, and I'm real excited to bring this one to you guys. Coming to our final segment of the night, it's going to be a fun one, Blast from the Past. We are going to go over my top 5 Los Angeles Lakers teams of all time. And let me tell you guys, this list was painful. There's so many good teams. I mean, we have 17 championships. All 17 of those teams that won championships, you could easily put on a list of greatness, because a lot of those championships were won when winning championships that frequently or winning championships in the manner they did was not something that was common. So the Lakers, in my opinion, are a trailblazing dynasty for all of sports. And it goes beyond just the court, and it goes just beyond the championships. It goes to the media poll and the social media poll and the pop culture poll and all of that. So the Lakers are fantastic. And with that, what has made them that is their amazing teams. So we're going to go into my pick for the top 5 Lakers teams of all time. Let's get right into it. Coming in at number 5, it might be a pick that will surprise and maybe anger some people, but I have the 2019-2020 Los Angeles Lakers in my number 5 spot. They went 52-19 in the regular season, finishing first in their division and first in the conference. And we all know what happened. The unfortunate situation with, of course, Kobe Bryant passing away mid-season, and then COVID. The season was turned upside down, but there was luckily still a playoff experience. It was just one that we might hopefully never have to experience again in the form of a bubble. And when it came to the playoffs, round 1, the Lakers won in 5 versus the Trailblazers. Round 2, the Lakers won in 5 versus the Rockets. Round 3, the conference finals, the Lakers beat the Nuggets in 5. And then the NBA finals, the Lakers played the Miami Heat and won in 6. Even though they dropped at least one game each series, the Lakers absolutely dominated the playoffs. And yes, it was a different championship. It was a different postseason. But arguably, that's what makes it even greater. The fact that this Lakers team rallied and won a championship after that really short, cut, very sudden end to the season, to come back and win a championship and be led by the great LeBron and the great AD and look like one of the deepest teams that we would see for years to come. That is impressive, and that has earned them that number 5 spot. They were a great team. They had such great depth, and that is the Lakers team that I miss so much. They were such an all-around team that were so deep, and it showed, especially in the playoffs. We were such such a deep unit, and we were one team, and it paid off. We got that chip, and we were by far the best team that season. So coming in at 5, I've got to show some love to that LeBron and AD-led 2019-2020 team. Coming in at number 4, I have the 2009-2010 Los Angeles Lakers team. People often overlook this, but this, in my opinion, was one of Kobe Bryant's greatest accomplishments. Again, people only really overlook it because that three-peat with Shaq meant a little bit more because of what they were doing to the league, and that was a big change in the entire league. They kind of shifted the history and the structure of the NBA for what it was and changed it for the better. But this 2009-2010 team, first of all, it was Kobe Bryant's last championship as a Los Angeles Laker. And second of all, it was against the Lakers' biggest rivals, the Boston Celtics. So this championship was so sweet for so many reasons. The Lakers were led by the late, great Jerry Buss. This was the last championship that he was around to see, and if he was still around, we would definitely not be in this situation, but that's another story for another episode. Anyways, the Lakers finished 57-25, being first in the division, first in the conference, and they had a very, very, very tricky and tough, tumultuous playoff experience and a playoff run. That is the main reason that I have them in this 4 spot, is because of their postseason. They went through the first round in 6 games, went through the conference semis sweeping, went through the conference finals in 6 again, and then went to the NBA finals winning in 7. Whenever you go and 3 out of 4 series, you go to 6 or 7 games, that shows that these are hard fought and absolutely dominating games and dominating performances. And the fact that the Lakers really did a great job of solidifying where they were at and solidifying who they were in each of these series, even when they got pretty close. Again, only the conference semifinals were a sweep. The rest were at least 6, and that finals, when it really mattered, was 7. So this team was great. This was a very, very talented team. I really liked who they had on the bench. I think their bench and a lot of their role players is actually what made this team great. It was less of that big 2 Shaq and Kobe combo, that very polarizing part of the team. Yeah, we did have Pau Gasol, and he was great and put up legendary numbers, but it was more of an entire team effort, and I think it kind of felt more like the whole team had a major part as opposed to 2 stars. So this Lakers team was legendary. We beat the Celtics. That was amazing, and with that 2020 championship, we tied the Celtics. So it was very, very sweet. I am not a fan of the Celtics. I'm especially not a fan of who they had on that crew other than Rondo. Came to the other side just in time. So that team was great, and that was one of the best finals of all time, not just Lakers teams. Coming in at number 3, you had to know you would see a Magic and Kareem-led Lakers team here. Again, when I alluded to so many great teams, most of those great teams were led by Magic Johnson and by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but in my opinion, the greatest of that dynasty was the 1986 through 87 team. That Los Angeles Lakers team was just a step above, and they were absolutely dominating that entire league. They were 65-17 in the regular season, going on a major run and just looking like the team that would absolutely run away with it. First in their division, first in their conference, and when it came to the playoffs, they made easy work of it, beating Denver in 3 in the first round, beating Golden State in 5 in the second round, and then sweeping the conference finals in 4 and putting up an absolutely major and historic performance, adding another W in that Lakers versus Celtics championship series. Unfortunately, the Celtics are just absolutely up there in the amount of times they won it, especially in the 60s, 70s era, but we are catching up, and this was one that helped us really, really, really catch up. And I know that we are tied with championships, but I mean catch up series-wise. So it was great to win that. We won in 6, and the Lakers just looked like that team. This was by far a Lakers team that was solid all the way around, and they held tight. They held that all the way through the regular season and through the postseason, and they never lost their greatness. If anything, they only gained it throughout the season. They were absolutely picking up steam and were by far the best team in the NBA that season. Coming in my number 2 spot is the 1971-72 Los Angeles Lakers team. This is a team that, in my personal opinion, did not get the respect it deserved as a team. Not just for the Lakers, but as an entire NBA team. Historically, this was one of the greatest NBA teams of all time, and it still, in my opinion, is up there. Obviously, some other teams have taken over, but this Lakers team held the NBA regular season streak for so long. They held that regular season record until the Bulls broke it. They held it for 24 seasons, and they were a team that was untouchable with what they accomplished. So this was a 69-13 regular season team that pieced together a division first place and a conference first place, and they absolutely blew through the playoffs. A team that had been met with the Celtics so many times and fallen to the Celtics so many times, even with the greatness of West, kind of disappeared in the postseason, in my opinion. Even if he put up big games, he couldn't get us past it, but he did it this time. Swept the first round in 4 against Chicago, swept Milwaukee in the second round in the Western Conference Finals at that point, because they didn't have all those rounds now. They got straight to the point. And then they beat the New York Knicks in 5 games in a very, very easily won, hard-fought game. This team was stacked. We're talking Elgin Baylor. We're talking Wilt Chamberlain. We're talking Gail Goodrich. We're talking Jerry West. We're talking Pat Riley. We're talking one of the most stacked teams in NBA history. This team absolutely has earned that number 2 spot easily. And finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, my number 1 greatest Lakers team of all time is the 2000-2001 Los Angeles Lakers, led by that dynamic duo of Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. And you cannot forget legendary head coach Phil Jackson. Forgot to give him a shout out for the 09-10 team. He was also the coach at that point. This Lakers team, just absolutely one of the best teams of all time. They pieced together 56-26 in the regular season, finishing first in their division but second in their conference. And when it came to legendary performances and players, you had Rick Fox, you had Horace Grant, you had Robert Horry, you had Tyronn Lue. You had players that really knew what their roles were and absolutely contributed to some great basketball. When it came to the playoffs, they were 15-1, an impressive 15-1 in the playoffs, sweeping Portland in round 1, sweeping Sacramento in round 2, sweeping San Antonio in round 3, and then going to the finals and absolutely dominating, winning in 5 games versus Philadelphia. The only thing that kind of went for Philadelphia was the crossover and the step over, but other than that, this was absolutely the Lakers all the way. Even though they dropped that first game, they did not drop another one after, and they were eventually crowned champions. This team was led by, again, the great Shaquille O'Neal and the late, great Kobe Bryant, and they are absolutely the players I think of when I think of leaders of the best team of all time for the Lakers. This was a team that was unstoppable, and they could beat any team in any era. I truly believe that this was one of, if not the greatest team of all time. You can repeat that, you can record that, you can play that back. The 2000-2001 Los Angeles Lakers may be the greatest team of all time, and the biggest factor in that is their postseason. So that completes my list. Let me know who you guys have. Who's on your list? Is it the same as mine? Is it way different? Is it only a little bit different? Let me know. All right, guys. Well, that wraps us up for episode number 5. Episode 6 will be coming at you guys real soon. Be looking out for it on YouTube and on Spotify. But in the meantime, check my other projects out. Check out the Connor and Heffernan Show. It is on the same YouTube channel as Purple and Gold Zone, the Connor and Heffernan Show YouTube channel. Make sure to check us out on YouTube, check us out on Spotify, check us out on TikTok. We have a TikTok account that is posted on very frequently with very fun edits and sports history things and all of those fun things in that category. So check out the Connor and Heffernan Show on YouTube. Check it out on Spotify. Check it out on TikTok at the Connor and Heffernan Show. Make sure to hit us with a sub on this channel if you want us to grow and keep bringing these shows and maybe even some more. So make sure to hit that sub on the Connor and Heffernan Show YouTube channel. And then also check out Well Beyond the Arc. It is on the Yankee and the Brit YouTube channel. Check out Well Beyond the Arc. It is an NBA league-wide show. We go live every Tuesday from 6 to 7 Central Time as best we can. Keep on that schedule, being two extremely busy people, me and my co-host Manoli. Speaking of Manoli, check out his blog, the Sports Page blog. It's awesome. So many great stories. You will absolutely be hooked and want to read more. Check out the Sports Page blog. Check out the Yankee and the Brit. Check out the Connor and Heffernan Show. That does us for this episode. Until next time, go Lakers. Stay safe and have a fantastic holiday season, guys.